Hey guys, Jeffrey here with another episode of AutoAlchemy, and this week I am unfortunately all by my lonesome. If you guys have been following along, you'll know that I spent a little bit of time with Michelle Wilson and Love Lou. We all had a great time together, filmed a ton of videos, and some of that content is still trickling out, so keep your eyes open for that. This video is going to be another one in my objective personality typing series, and this week we are typing Barbara Corcoran. Barbara is a businesswoman, investor. She's been on Shark Tank. She's also been on Dancing with the Stars. She does public speaking, and she is a very interesting, slightly mad kind of person. Anyway, why bother squandering time? Why don't we get right to it? The first thing that I notice about Barbara is that she is not missing blast. She seems exceptionally comfortable at walking another person through her organized list of bullet points. She's like, oh, so you want a raise? Well, you need to make an appointment. You need to sit down and review your original job description. You need to write yourself a new job description based on the new tasks that you have incorporated into your position. You need to look at salaries in comparable positions. You need to consider where you want to end up 10 years from now, and so on and so forth. And that was something that I saw multiple times in her videos. It wasn't just an isolated incident. So I'm feeling pretty confident about that one. Secondly, I noticed that she's really good at working with the tribe and has an understanding of multiple vantage points. So she'll say, typically in a situation where they're asking for a raise, a woman will do this, whereas a man will do this. The employer or supervisor will be looking for this. If you want to leave a good impression on your employee, you have to do this. So essentially, she knows how to hop from head to head. Like, she can put herself in a perspective and appreciate that. And I'm not saying that she is definitely savior tribe. I'm just saying that if she is self over tribe, she's a double decider, as far as I can tell. We'll get to that later, though. Next up, I'm feeling pretty confident that she is savior organized. There's a lot of talk about focus and a lot of different variations on that talk. Basically, when she's talking about her life at the beginnings of her career, she talks a lot about how she was hyper-focused, laser-focused. And I don't think that that's all talk. I think that if you really look at her life, you can see that she's always adjusting and organizing and funneling in a certain direction. Which brings me to my next point. She's definitely savior NI. At one point, she was describing the nature of this vision, this funnel in her head. And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but basically she said, in my head, I could see people bowing before me, kissing my rings. I could see the clothing that I would wear once I became the person that I wanted. So she's doing this intuitive guesswork, this intuitive NI leap. She knows a life that she's moving towards, and there are no additional possibilities outside of that parameter. She even used the words, everything in my life went right back to that picture in my head. So I feel like that's a pretty big tell, but what do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet. I then went hunting for whether or not she was a single observer or a single decider. And I found her TEDx talk where she really seems to give away what her big life challenge has been, her big story arc. Apparently when she was younger, she wasn't really designed for the academic life. She didn't do well in school. She struggled to read aloud, and even to this day, she says she has anxiety about reading out loud. And she talks a lot about other insecurities, and essentially the fear really seems to be about the label, about having her identity picked out for her. Basically, she doesn't want to be a failure. She doesn't want to be labeled as something. Her identity is very fragile, and she doesn't want to be put in the box of somebody who don't read too good. As a result of all that, she's always working for the validation of others, which means she would be savior tribe. This is kind of corroborated by the fact that she does have double observer tendencies. Even though she has that NI vision, she's also good at adjusting and updating according to facts. At one point, she was talking about how she had this idea of showcasing real estate properties using VHS tapes, and that was a complete failure. I don't know the reasoning for that, but she then updated the idea once the internet became a little more popular and started showcasing properties using online video, which was apparently more cost effective. Next up, I think that savior extroverted decider is savior TE. There's a ton of talk about reasons. Everybody has their reasons in her book, and she's very good, like I said before, at hopping between those perspectives. And those perspectives always take the form of a string of rationale. And you can also see this being supported by the fact that on the other end, I think it's demon feeling. She talks about how she's had to learn to be compassionate, learn to show empathy for other people, be considerate towards her husband. It's not a natural mode of being for her. The next distinction that I was hunting for was blast play or blast sleep. I decided on blast play for two different reasons. First of all, she talks about how the one thing that set her apart from her competitors was that she overworks herself. So I don't think there's a lot of sleep energy happening. And then when she describes her husband, he sounds like a very sleepy person. She describes him as leisurely. He doesn't really get in a hurry. He kind of works behind the scenes. And she literally said that he is her exact opposite in every possible way. Finally, I went hunting for what was missing. Is it sleep or is it consume? And I'm kind of torn here because she is a good communicator, which I have maybe mistakenly been associating with having blast and consume both in your top three animals. I'm now thinking that it has more to do with blast, and I misunderstood something that Dave and Shan said. So we'll see if I fare any better now that I've updated some of my axioms here. But yeah, her language is very energy oriented. She's always talking about getting things done, and she never really once talked about taking in new information. Plus, my inclination is to say that that description that she had of revisiting the same future vision sounds very much like NIFI sleep. Like, this is a life that would be valuable for me. I'm projecting forward and I'm trying to push all of the sensory in that direction. Quick word on the sexual modalities. I think that the NI vision is obviously masculine, meaning that her sensory would be feminine. And I think that she's pretty hard with the tribe. I mean, she even describes herself that way. So I think we're looking at feminine, masculine, TENI, blast, play, sleep, consume. So our dear friend Barbara here is a form of ENTJ, which is not what I would have said actually, just from looking at her. When I first saw her, I was like, oh man, another ISTJ. Anywho, I'm feeling kind of big-headed about this one. Like, I feel fairly confident. This is the one that's gonna make it or break it for me. YouTube will never hear from me again if this doesn't go well. Anywho, that's all I have. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, please hit that thumbs up. Please leave a comment if you think that I got anything wrong or if you have any insights you would like to share. And as always, hit that bell icon because you'd be doing me a big favor. And maybe I don't deserve it, but maybe you can use the act of charity as a tax write-off. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time.